Hello, and welcome to the Collaboration Conversation, a listener-supported video podcast where Christian artists, entrepreneurs, and friends share about their upcoming projects and how they are using the gifts and talents that God has given them. This podcast is made possible through generous listeners and friends like you, and we are so very grateful to all of our supporters. If you would like to sponsor an episode, you can head over to thecollaborationconversation.org and click Sponsor an Episode. Likewise, if you want to check out or support our nonprofit ministry project Brickworks, you can head over to projectbrickworks.org. Today, our very special guest is Jeff Harris. Jeff is the new area director with Fellowship of Christian Athletes in Douglas County in the Denver metro area in Colorado. I know that I was an FCA once upon a time.
Yes, you were.
And so I'm excited to chat about this a little bit.
And both of your brothers.
And both of my brothers. Jeff, thank you so much for being here and welcome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're excited to see you.
Yes.
You didn't tell me that. You're part of FCA. That's going to make this even more fun.
I know. Surprise.
Yeah. Well, so you and I go way back. Way back. I mean, this is back to college, your college days.
Yes.
And actually, technically, you and Sarah go way back.
Yes, we do. Indeed.
Yeah.
Do you remember why?
Yes. I was the flower girl, right? Was that my first time being a flower girl? It was a hot commodity back then.
It was really close. It was.
You were farming her out pretty much for flower girl.
Yeah, I know.
No. Just two. Y'all's.
Just two?
Yeah, just y'all's. And then Sean and Shelley are the only two.
Yeah.
Really?
So I think you guys might have been first.
Yeah. But yes.
She was too cute. She should have been in a lot more.
That's what I was saying.
We just charged way too much.
Anyway,
so yes, she was the flower girl in your and Jody's wedding, and that was so sweet. And then, so obviously I was director of admissions at the college you were attending, but also you were an admissions associate with Jody working in the admissions office. You were involved in everything. And so if I think Jeff Harris, do you know what I think? 3 things.
Wait. Okay.
3 things. 1, both thought you were Jose Canseco.
I did used to look like him a lot.
Yes.
I got that a lot.
Yes. And he would come over. Is Jose Canseco going to be in your office today? Well, honey, I don't know. You can come on over and see.
Because I had the long hair in the back.
Yep.
Like I had the mullet. It was a sweet mullet, by the way.
It was.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Well, 2 and 3 actually are totally related. You and Alan playing Bill and Ted and Wayne and Garth at our the recruitment events. You guys were gold. I mean, so good. Do you remember that?
Yeah, but I think I peaked then. You know what I'm saying?
He said, I don't want to talk about it because
I don't think that's true at all. I mean,
There you go.
right, college. Do you remember that we even rented y'all a red phone booth?
God, I remember so many. God, oh, so funny. I thought you were going to say the veritable cornucopia of autumn delight. That's what I thought you were going to say.
Oh.
Because do you remember that veritable cornucopia?
No.
Remember the whole thing? There was a whole skit where I got hit in the face and we were trying to do this whole thing.
Yes.
But anyway, but no, I don't remember the red booth. But by the way, I don't remember a lot of things about college.
Oh.
And that's not because I was doing bad things.
Right.
It's just because I'm now officially old. So
Okay. Well, we rented a red phone booth. Who does that?
Right.
And we moved it all around campus. So we would film whatever sketch you guys were doing with the, at the escalators. We even put it in the swimming pool.
that is hilarious.
So crazy.
And then
You guys must have been really good.
Those 2 were the best. I mean, the best. Do you ever? This is way off the subject. Do you ever see Alan or connect with him? Yeah.
And I think that's the hard thing about college is you think you're going to, and then life happens.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
It's just hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, it has been fun. Facebook, whatever people want to say about Facebook, that's not my point. But just watching your kiddos grow up, and you know what I'm saying, like
Yes.
it's just you get to kind of have a little picture, and so to see you throughout the years has been great. It's been fun.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Well, and the same with
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, their kids, 2 and then 5. And then, it's like, oh my gosh, where does time go?
Don't blink.
Yeah.
I tell everyone, don't blink. Please don't blink.
Don't blink.
Yeah, because it happens.
Well, so we are, it's great to reminisce, but let's catch up. Tell us a little bit about you and Jody and what your family.
Sure.
Get us started.
Yeah. So, really, honestly, I left, as we know, Pacific Christian College, now Hope International University. And I thought it was going to be God's gift to youth ministry. Then God then said, hey, I'm going to take you and teach you some lessons, which is always fun when that happens. And worked, honestly, for one of the best things that ever happened to me was a place called Christian Encounter Ranch. And it really was one of those things where I got to just find out the guy just really wanted to have me just show up, and then he'll use us if we'll be, if we'll do that. But that led me into youth ministry, 8.5 years, all at one church, and loved that. But again, I really thought I was going to be one of those guys that was going to do youth ministry, retire youth minister, maybe go to Bible college, teach youth ministry, and then God laughed at me because I said that. So
as he does,
8.5 years youth ministry, and then we planted a church. And moved up to the Bay Area, a place called Fremont, California, East Bay of San Francisco. And by the way, we had a 2-year-old, and as we say, a brand new, still with a new car smell baby. And we moved up there, and because Tim was born end of December 11th, or around December 11th, and we moved in right in January of 2001.
Wow.
So we, as we say, car seat in the moving van. Kind of deal. And planted a church and loved it. Oh my gosh. Took a little old piece of junk building and did some fun ministry and did that.
That's awesome.
Well, and it's funny because however old Ben was, right?
Yes.
Told us how many years we had been there, right? So that made it work out really well. And so, I planted this church, and God just did some awesome things with that. And again, I love the church, love all of those things that were happening. My wife, Jody, which again has already been spoken of, and she has done just a number of things, but she's always been a writer, always been someone who wanted to do those things and editing and all that. And so she's now editing for a company out of Washington called Redemption Press. And so she does that editing, and now works for Proverbs 31 Ministries as well, and is doing some devotional stuff for them. She's been editing for them for a long time, doing some of their online devotional stuff. So
wow.
Met my wife, she's incredibly gifted, incredibly talented, all those things. And she has spoken a lot at women's ministry events and has just been really gifted that way. And so as we talk about, I have a 23, a 21, and they're both at Grand Canyon University.
Oh, yay.
Yay! One's at California doing it online. The other one's on campus, and he's looking to. I think he might go back off campus. We'll see what happens with that. And then we drug a 13-year-old with us to Colorado. We moved here this last January of last year, of 2001. We moved here.
Got it.
And so he was the one that was 7 years behind our middle, and so we knew eventually he'd be the only child, and now he is.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's there, but he's doing well, and misses his brothers like crazy. Right? All those things. But so we moved here, and we can get into all that fun story if you want to. But I knew in 2015, God had kind of laid on my heart that I wasn't going to be the guy. And by the way, this is an old. Everyone uses this illustration, but it's appropriate, which is I felt like I was the one trying to fish for the whole village. And God just said, hey, I think you're going to go into a season where you're going to be teaching people to fish. And you're going to be giving more of this.
Wonderful.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we merged a church in 2017 and got to do that for a season. And we were literally taking people from the pews and having them do home churches. And it was fun. It really was kind of a cool thing.
That's awesome.
To do that process. And then the guy that was the senior pastor left, and then I became the senior pastor. And then and by the way, and what you'll find out is I'm fairly forthright. Burnout and all that stuff happens, and it's real.
Absolutely.
And one thing, by the way, some of that was my own issues of not taking sabbaticals or not taking time and, keep pushing through. And if you just keep grinding, kind of a deal.
Yeah.
But also, I think I just also knew I had this call of that I wasn't going to be the guy. You know what I'm saying? That I just wasn't where I was going to be. So in this is where the math all gets fun. So in 2021, we moved here.
Right.
And didn't know, honestly. I sold roofs for a while. That was horrible. And
sounds horrible.
And by the way, and if you want to get into it, I still work at Starbucks. That's a whole other side thing. I don't do it. I did it originally because I needed medical, like everybody does. You get a job, you got to take care of everything else.
Right.
And I don't need that anymore now with a new job. But I'm now doing it because I just have relationships that I want to leave there. It's just a lot of brokenness there, and I'm just trying to be. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation. But no, and then not out of the blue, but kind of out of the blue was just this thing about FCA. And again, the job description I have as the area director is my job is to hire and train up and hopefully encourage and set up for success area reps that go into our high schools and junior highs and just love on coaches and kids. And so that's been exciting for me because again, it goes into where I am, and it's not the church, because the church has its own set of issues, and by the way, parachurch has its own stuff. But
That's
it's a good for me to be able to like, what does it mean to bring up people and let them find out, like, what is their skill set, what do they want to do, and how do they want to impact? And so that really is what drew me to this position. And so started actually officially this last January. So I'm still brand new. You're catching me at the beginning, as they say, honeymoon phase.
Yep.
Yes.
And that's all good. But that's really been the journey to get to where we are now. And so I've given you a lot, but go back and pick apart and ask questions. I realize I just threw a lot at you.
Absolutely. Well, I mentioned earlier that I was in FCA, but for those who live under a rock and may not know what FCA is, would you just mind sharing with our listeners what that is?
Absolutely. And I'll give you a little. So Fellowship of Christian Athletes started in 1954 and really had an idea of the fact that how do we go into schools, specifically campuses. By the way, there's going to be a little bit of a change the FCA is doing, and I'll talk about that. But how do we go into school campuses knowing that for many years, right, the athletic programs, football, baseball, basketball, swimming, all the way through, I mean, every sport, every court kind of a deal. But those are kids that what does it look like to actually go into their world and basically find a way to bring the gospel to them? And so it has been a ministry that's just grown, mainly because I think people there's one thing to be a student, and that's fine, and that's great. But there's that one thing to be that student that's taking the next level and putting in the time and putting in the energy and kind of putting themselves out there, right? And showing either their skills or being willing to fail or whatever. And so that student, there's something there that we're able to tap into and try to be able to say, hey, we love that you love the sport. We love that you're good at it. And we love that you're trying at the sport. But have you met this other person that actually can do something powerful in your life? And then one of the main initiatives of FCA is called To and Through the Coach. As important as one of our area reps could be to go on a campus and love on kids and be there and be an encouragement, if we can have Christian coaches or even help some of the coaches become Christians, their impact, man, is so powerful. Yes,
for sure.
A good coach. And by the way, we make it very clear. Some of us have had those coaches that have inspired us. We've had some of those coaches that they got good things out of us, but it's difficult to be underneath them. Yep. But how do we go to those coaches and help them to be better coaches? And how do we make sure that they're not just teaching X's and O's or here's a better lap time or whatever, but really about bringing up a generation of young people to be good leaders, to be good citizens, those things. And then we get to weave in there, obviously, with the gospel. So great organization. Been blown away by them, to be honest with you. And you can ask any questions about that. Been blown away by their hearts of what they really want to do and how gospel was so central into those things. And so it's been really powerful. But I think that for the many people in the South, FCA is strong in the South. I mean, Bible Belt, FCA is. Yeah. I had a friend of mine that is one of my sponsors or one of my supporters who said, it was kind of like you kind of got your Eagle Scout Award and you went straight into FCA. It was just kind of like that simple of a transition, right?
Yeah.
But you get to places like Denver or the coast, California, those places, it's not as prevalent. And so we're having to fight to kind of give our voice and who we are and what we're about. And we're finding that in the Denver area. And so there you go. But it's a great organization. And again, we're trying to work really hand in hand with either other parachurches like Young Life or, Youth for Christ or Crew, because we're on the college campus as well. Like, how do we come together? There's just so many students, you know what I'm saying? Is any way we can catch them, any way we can love them, if we can do those kind of things.
For sure.
It's super funny to think about this. And I've been on church staff, not full time, but more often than not affiliated with a parachurch organization. I've been nonprofits my entire life. And you just sometimes forget the incredibly powerful work that God is doing outside the church walls.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Through these coaches. So I love that you're going to be part of this. I kind of expect that it's going to explode in the Denver area. This is so cool. All right.
No pressure.
No. Well,
no pressure at all.
Yeah, no,
no,
for sure.
it's all on God, right?
Right.
He's going to do it. And Billy, he always says that. He says, God's already working. We just got to figure out, we just got to show up, right? It's not like we're going to go, oh, this kid needs Jesus. God already knows that, right?
Right.
So, he always is telling me I got to be paying attention to those kinds of things. Okay. So talk to me a little bit about your region specifically, like how many schools, how many students, how many do you have on staff?
So here's the thing. So what has happened is that Douglas County was just one of those exploding counties. Obviously, their towns are just exploding, and Denver was one of those, right? And so you, because of the mountains and because of Kansas, you only have a couple places to squirt and go. So basically, South Denver is Douglas County, and so those cities are like Highlands Ranch, Parker, all the way down into a place called Castle Rock. And we have about 13 high schools that we're reaching to, and actually, it's one of the smaller districts. There's other districts in that have more schools. But what has happened over the years is that there's been a lot of things happening with FCA. What I would say individually, right? So there was someone who started a huddle at one school, or someone was doing something at this school, but there never was someone who was over it and was kind of bringing the whole thing underneath one. Hey, here's our agenda, here's our mission, here's our vision, here's our plan,
Gotcha.
And how we're going to do that. And one of the issues, by the way, it is true, and just so, and this is not me trying to put up a hand to help, but almost all those organizations, Young Life, all of them, doesn't matter. We all have to raise our own support, right? And so, because they're mission fields, right? No student is going to pay your salary, no coach is going to pay your salary,
right?
And so you are a missionary on those campuses. The difficulty with that is that if you have someone who is maybe doing something like that at a school, if for whatever reason they leave, usually their funds go with that person because it's tied to that.
Oh, right.
Person,
yes.
Right? Kind of a deal. And so my job to come in is how do we put the mission of FCA before the missionary? And what I mean by that is how do we go in and say, this is what FCA is going to try to accomplish in the Douglas County area. This is what we want to do with this many reps. This is what we wanted to accomplish, and give a vision. So it doesn't really matter who the reps are. Hopefully people are giving to a mission rather than to the individual, if that makes sense. Yeah. And that's a little bit of a different change, because again, I want it to be that, hey, if someone, one of my reps has to leave for a reason or transfers over or even moves up, right? I want them to be able to be like, no, there's people giving to a bigger vision, or giving maybe to this high school, or giving to this thing. Yeah. So we're trying to figure that part out. And it's kind of nice because I am new, and you only get to be new once. I kind of say that, right? You get to try new things. You get to say, hey, what about this and what about that? And it may or may not work, but we're going to try our best to really set a mission mindset over Douglas County. So my goal, my vision, I would love to have a male, female rep at every single high school in Douglas County. Right.
Wow.
So,
that's great.
I think, and again, if you just for a second, I mean, and I think we forget this once we leave high school. If you think about all the sports that are offered year round, right? I mean, if you know from different seasons, football, swimming, softball, right? I mean, there's all volleyball, man, all these different things that are taking place. I think it's great to have a male rep or great to have a female rep, but I think there's times when it'd be so great to have a female rep that's there. They can talk to students or athletes and encourage them in a way differently than maybe someone else could.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
And so that's a big vision, though. I mean, that's, you're taking care of people's full salaries and their budgets. And so when you start talking those numbers, it gets up there pretty quick.
Yeah.
And so we're just saying, God, what can we do here? And how can we make that impact? And then the extra thing that's about to happen, and this just, by the way, this is a brand new thing that just came out this year from FCA. We just had our big meeting where we kind of roll out what is our next kind of what we're doing is, we can't ignore the fact that sports are moving to club and league far more than they are even on campuses. There are students that are playing, softball, baseball, volleyball, and will never even be on a high school team, right? They're just going to stay in their league or their club or whatever. So we're trying to really wrap our brains and our hearts around that. And then there's sports that are not your typical sports. There's action sports like skateboarding or surfing, and there's outdoor sports like fishing and hunting, right? And so, or motocross, or like, we're just trying to say, man, if we believe, and our theme this year is every, and so our catchphrase is every means every. Like, if we're going to say that every sport and every athlete matters, then we can't just look at the high school or the junior high. We got to start looking into the places where kids are doing sports that are different and unique.
Wow.
So
very cool.
Well, let me just throw a wrench in this.
Sure.
Bo this year became he works at a high school, and he became the advisor for the esports club.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
It's like, are you kidding me? They're video gamers.
And for those of you who don't know, esports, that's the kids on there. That's kids gaming, playing a video game, right? That's esports. And so what they did was, instead is they called everything environments, right? So a campus is an environment, a motorcycle track is an environment, a beach is an environment, right? So how do we go on to each, and by the way, all the way down to even those who are special needs or what we consider to be, if we do like a Special Olympics, like how do we make sure that even those athletes are being talked to and encouraged, right? All the way up into pro and elite. I have one of my guys that actually helped me with FCA, and one of his visions is he wants to work with a wrestling team that goes to the Olympics team, because that's elite, right?
Yes.
That level. So I think the FCA really has a heart, but it's a new thing, and anytime it's new, we're figuring it out on the fly. As we say, the plane's in the air, and we're bolting things on, and we're figuring it out as we go. So.
That's amazing.
I love it.
So I was doing all this research on you before we prepped for this interview. And so I saw on LinkedIn that you were involved in a organization called CityServe. What was that all about?
Okay, so that, and I'll be able to tie that back into even what I'm doing here. I was blessed. This little place of Fremont, California, and then what we call the Tri-Cities, which is Newark and Union City. But by the way, before I ever was there, pastors just committed to love each other. And what that means is that when I showed up there, and again, I think, you're brand new, you think you're going to win the world, you're going to take over everything, kind of a deal. Yeah. And before I even got a chance, all of a sudden, all these pastors started showing up saying, "How can I love you? How do I support you? Do you need a family? Do you need me to do you need resources?" And I wasn't ready for that. I just wasn't like, what I'm saying? I'd been where churches feel almost a little bit competitive, kind of a deal.
Yep.
And so CityServe was an organization where literally, and these numbers can flex, between 40 and 60 churches in those three cities. They just said, what do we do to love each other, support each other, and stand with each other? And so, like I said, I just got to be the benefactor that other churches before I got there had already made these commitments, and I just jumped in, right?
Yeah, that's nice.
So I ended up coming on the board. And of that, after I've been there for a few years, and then ironically ended up becoming the president of it. In that, one of the things that happened is that CityServe, what we realized was our best resource was our volunteers. Like, we just have all these people that are ready to serve. So we did a thing called Compassion Network, and Compassion Network basically is that our cities had kind of a one-stop shopping mall of what we consider services for the community. So WIC and SAVE and Afghan Coal, all these people coming like, "Hey, I need help." And we always consider ourselves the backdrop. So like if you went to, like if a mom said, "Hey, I have an infant and a child," and WIC kind of a deal, but no one ever comes with one problem, right? They always have a couple of issues.
Oh, you're right.
So then those people who could only take care of that one specific thing would be like, "Come with me," and they'd walk us down to our office, and then we would just unleash our volunteers on whatever they needed. So it could be as simple as, hey, someone needs a ride to a doctor's appointment, or someone needs a resume worked up so they're going for a new job, or hey, they need clothes for an interview. And by the way, and then it just expands and blows.
Wow.
So when at its height, and I still think it still is that way, we had 6,000 clients a year that literally the volunteers of churches were serving.
That's amazing.
Holy cow.
And it was. Oh my gosh. And then where the city honestly they didn't care about the churches, but honestly, I got one mayor that told me, he goes, "The only time we see you is when you're mad at us. Like, we show up to city council because we're upset," right?
That's funny.
And I agree with him, right? He wasn't wrong. And then all of a sudden, because we were serving and because we were literally just having all of these projects happen, all of a sudden the city's now calling us saying, "Hey, could you help us out with this? Could you help us out with that?" And now I know the mayor, I know the city manager, I know these people as the president. They're calling me saying, hey, we have these issues, could you guys do this? So in that, I will then add this part onto it. So then it got so known that we'd had other people that, by the way, wanted the Compassion Network part. Remember, City serves the umbrella. Compassion Network's just one part of that.
Right.
And they wanted the Compassion Network part. And so they would come to me, and the first thing I would say to them, say, okay, go back and all you pastors need to start loving each other. And they would be like, no, we just want this part. And I'm like, then it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And the reason why is that if you're going to let your people all serve that way, then they're going to intermix with other churches. They're going to meet other people. And you got to be okay with the fact that they love each other and it's all okay. And we're one church and it's not competition. And I have one story of a guy that our church didn't offer an auto ministry, but he was good with his hands. Church down the street had a thing where they would give free oil changes to single moms, right? So, he would go over there and he would do that. Well, he was there probably about 3 months and loved those guys and loved their hearts. So he came to me and goes, hey, I'm going to start going to church over there. And I'm like, and with love was able to release him and go, absolutely go, kind of a deal.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you have to trust the other pastors. You have to trust each other to be able to do that.
Yes.
And I think that's where the organizations that wanted the mechanism didn't understand the heart of that. So now let's bring this into here. So one of the things for me is that as an area director is that each of the area directors kind of has some things that are on their heart and what can they do that benefits all of the other directors. And my hope is given that history, given what I've seen and what the power of it and what that does for your cities and what that does for your mayors and what that does for everything else. I'm really hoping that I can really help a lot of our pastors begin that journey of loving each other and trusting each other and, I'm just going to be another parachurch guy over here, going, hey, kind of a deal, but how do we love each other? And to do that, and I'll tell you how rare it was, and people just don't believe me, but we as a city of pastors would go on a retreat together every year.
That's awesome.
To a conference. We would literally go to a conference center because we're all dealing with the same city. We're dealing with the same issues. We're dealing with the same stuff. And we get together and pray for each other. And when you're sitting with another pastor who may be 2 miles down the street and realize he's still struggling with the same things you are, and it's not a competition, and was beautiful. And so I get why people wanted Compassion Network. I don't deny them that, but I also know that there was just beauty in that it started because we loved each other. It started because we cared for each other.
Yeah.
And you could not drive around Fremont and point to a church that I did not know the pastor or had a meal with him or sat down with him. You just couldn't do that. So, yeah.
That's
great. That is so cool.
Yeah. And it's rare. And by the way, again, I want to make sure I've said it a couple of times. We'll say it a third time again. I just got to inherit what beautiful pastors already had done to set that agenda because, again, I was just shocked that they came in and said, I had, and then, by the way, we were the church later on that went to a new church plant, said, hey, do you need families? And we sent families over to them and gave them families for like a year to get them up and going. We just passed that on.
Wow.
And so, and it just is a beautiful thing when you just let go of that stuff and then you start going, oh, God kind of talks about unity and talks about the beauty of the church when it happens. Yeah. And again, blesses in ways that we can't imagine. So, and by the way, I want to make sure we hired a director. Her name was Christine Beach, and by the way, she was the right person at the right time, and she's the one that actually did the day in, day out connecting, as we say, the conduits to everything else. She was an absolute blessing. I don't want to miss that. It wasn't like, I just got to be the guy sitting in a boardroom making decisions. She was the person really
doing it. Yeah, that's great.
And those people need to be honored, right? Because
absolutely.
They're the ones that are actually in the trenches. And I just got to show up once in a while and be like, hey, what's going on?
Very cool.
I'm hoping to bring that. I don't know if we can do that, but I would love and I've heard good things about Douglas County. The pastors are meeting together, but I want to give them a bigger picture of something maybe more significant. So
that is so cool. Yeah. Well, and you mentioned, I just think trying to tie it into my next question. Okay. Doing my best here. But I just love that you guys are facilitating the example of the auto guy who was good with his hands. You guys are facilitating opportunities for people to use their talents and gifts to do the good works that God has set out for them in advance. That's to me, that's the picture that
Super
you
cool.
just drew for us.
Yeah.
And I think that that is just incredible. And for those who don't know, and you might not know this, but our ministry is all about equipping people who maybe don't know what their talents and gifts are, or they do, but they don't know how to incorporate it into their 9 to 5 or, whatever it is. And so we just want to encourage people and equip them to use those talents and gifts to do the good works that God has set out in advance for them, but also to what end? To, tell people about King Jesus. Like, that's the point. And
if there's a verse, honestly, is that Jesus tells us to give a cup of cold water. Okay, hold on. I know there's more to that verse. A lot of organizations give the cup of cold water, but the rest of that verse is in His name, right?
Yeah,
and that's the rest of that. And so one of the things that I could say to someone who, again, was maybe a handyman or whatever, like, look, go there and maybe help fix their porch, but let them know in whose name you're fixing this.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're just not just another person.
Yep.
Because they're going to ask the question, why are you doing this? Why are you helping me? You know what I'm saying? Why are you doing that? And that is your opportunity. They're like, well, I don't know what to say. They're going to ask, trust me, they're going to ask this question. Because again, why do people do things for free? That's not our culture. That's not our,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Why do people serve in that way? And when someone says, why are you here? Why are you doing this? You go, look, this is who Jesus is. This is what He's done in my life. And if I get to pass Him along and share that with you, and then just have a conversation, and then it becomes a conversation, right? Because you've served them, and they know that you're not there just because you want them to become a Christian. You're there because you want them to have a better porch, or you want them to get to the doctor's appointment on time, or you want them to have the things that need to be done. Yeah. And even with FCA, it's like, well, why are you on campus? Why do you care? Well, because I want you to know Jesus. You know what I'm saying? I want you to know that there's more than just the life of whatever you're doing in a sport, or it doesn't have to be sport. I don't care if you're in the band or if you're in drama, whatever it is, there's more here. And I just want to be one of those conduits that points you to something bigger and better. So
amen to that. Well, so as I mentioned, we talk a lot about talents and gifts, and one thing we like to do is ask our guests what they think their talents and gifts are, so that our listeners can resonate or get an idea of what maybe they're good at,
be inspired. Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about what you think your talents and gifts are.
Okay, please tell me I can't be the first person that says sarcasm. No, that's not
No, you really are the first person that said
that. You are the first one,
really?
And I think it's a good one. I think you should.
Yeah. Sarcasm is a gift. No, obviously, you look at how God has, and I think that's one of the hard things when it gets into talents and gifts, is you have to trust that God gave you different ways to see the world, different abilities, all those different things. And I think one of the hard things is to rein that in and just be able to say this really is a gift of God, right? Mm-hmm. So whether that's leadership, or whether that's public speaking, whatever those things are. I do think that where one of my gifts has been, and again, I think that's where God was leading me into this position, is how do you raise up or pull out of people who they are as leaders or potential leaders into those things. And one of my things that I want to do is I don't want to create many me's. I don't want people to be, here's my method and here's my model and just do my model. Right. But just really trying to say, who are you? How has God created you? How has God designed you? And let's find that, because we've all met that very quiet person, but when they speak, you listen to them like, that person that you, right? And you go, wait a minute, that person is powerful. That person has an incredible gift. And yet they will say to themselves, because I'm not up speaking, because I'm not up front, I don't have this voice. And you're like, no, you don't understand the respect people have for you and who you are and your character could be something really, really unique. And so I think if I have a gift, I hope I'm using it well. It's just trying to say, hey, again, right now it could be to a 25-year-old person that loves sports and loves Jesus, and maybe has a fairly good understanding of the gospel, but hopefully I can take them, deeper, richer, show them how God wants to pull more out of that into them, and use that in the context of what they're doing. Right? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, what's so funny about what I think is hilarious about FCA is that none of us are playing sports. We're just there cheering on those who are doing sports. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's like, woohoo, those days are way beyond way back there. But we just get to come alongside and cheer and encourage people, and especially young people, and just say, hey, you matter. And again, I don't think it's always the out there going gregarious person that always needs to be the person. It could be that person who's just steady and consistent and has a heart to listen. And so I'm hoping that's my gift.
Absolutely.
And then I know I have leadership. I know I have leadership gifts. I know that. And so again, I think that fits into why they has me as an area director. And so I'm hoping I'm going to use those well. But I do think that just using the story of CityServe and Compassion Network, is I think people just really just qualify themselves because, they think, well, all I do is, and you're like, no, that's called loaves and fish. And if you get that into the hands of the master, he can do incredible things.
Amen.
Amen to that.
Amen. We love that.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's awesome.
So true. And this is coming to mind, and I don't know. We've never talked about this before, but I think it's really interesting how what you were kind of describing to me. What came to mind was exhortation. Like it's a unique, special type of encouragement that you're giving, where you're pulling people. It's not just like, "Hey, go you,"
right?
Which a lot of people think of when they hear encouragement. But like we've met those people who are like just really great encouragers,
right? But
like this is a very unique type of
they're training up the next generation.
It's just very cool, very special.
Very cool. Well, this is a little off subject.
Sure.
But I need to gauge your excitement about Russell Wilson.
Okay, so here's my problem.
Oh, no.
You opened up a can of worms.
I thought you were going to be happy about that.
I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan because I grew up in Texas, and I'm legitimate.
Oh, okay? All right.
I'm not one of these bandwagon, I only go I'm legitimate. I hate my owner just like every other Dallas Cowboy fan. I hate the owner, and we have to put up with him, and it's the reality. And
yes.
I came into the world of Denver Hades, we'll call it that right now, and I got to listen to these people, and they are excited.
Yes, I bet they are.
They're MVP. Yeah. Until it was something, shut up. So, so it's funny. It's funny watching them. But we have some people that are just diehard sports, and it's funny how each of them are different. Some are baseball, some are football. Some, you know what I'm saying, different things. And so you just kind of find the seasons. They want me to be a part of a golf, a fantasy golf thing, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be me like doing this. Like, I don't care.
Oh, right.
But, I'm on the team. I got to take one for the team. And so
that's awesome.
I did, by the way, I did very good in our Final Four bracket. I did fairly well. I think I made it all the way up to, out of like 25 people, I made it to fourth. So I'm
nice.
That is very good.
Very cool.
Yeah, Russell, by the way, a great Christian man, by the way.
Yes, that's why I thought you were excited about it.
Backtracking a little bit, but he's fine.
We're really excited, and we are trying our best to find a way to get in there before everybody, gets them and grabs them and gets them on their organization. We're trying. You can pray for that. I mean, we'd
absolutely
love to have Wilson be able to do that. And again, I would get, for that purpose of having an incredibly Christian, godly man coming, that part I'm excited about.
Yeah.
I don't care if he wins or loses. I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I love it.
Well, how can folks reach you?
Oh, guys. So it's really easy in the sense of for me, it's jharris@fca.org. I don't think you can make it any easier than that, right? I mean,
that's
it's
easy.
Just my first letter of my first name, harris@fca.org. And then on all the other stuff, I think on Facebook, I'm Jeffrey Allen Harris. And then I think on Instagram, the stuff I have to look. Here's the thing. I wish I was more social media person. I wish I was, but maybe down below, I'll give you all those links.
Yeah,
check out.
Absolutely.
We got that.
But, for me, I built a website just for my team. It's just jeffharrisfca.com. And so if anybody wants to come, and that's where I post things that we're doing in part of Douglas County. It is fun to be a part of a team. It's fun to be a part and see what God is doing. And then I just got my little corner of Denver that we're just trying to do good things with. And again, when you're starting from scratch, hopefully we don't mess it up. We do good things, and we got to try things out. And we have a good team, and we've really added, and you can see a plan. You can see a desire to see FCA do incredible things here. And so, and by the way, and in partnering with everybody else, right? And I've been meeting with youth pastors recently, and they're excited because FCA still gets a way to get on the campus that sometimes youth pastors don't even get that access to, right?
Good.
And so I'm just saying, do be ready for us, because FCA's goal is not to be the church. It's not. We are a para-church. We are there to support the church, right?
Yeah.
And even in our mission statement, that we want to see every coach and athlete in a relationship with Jesus Christ and his church. And that last three words are important, right? Which is, we want them to, hey, come to one of our huddles, hear about Jesus, but they need to find themselves into a church because, as we all know, those baseball sport years will get behind you, and Jesus needs to be the one you're relying on. Not,
yes,
amen.
So
absolutely.
Well, this has been great.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome. This was so cool.
We are so grateful for your time.
Yes,
and to catch up at least a little bit. This is wonderful.
And what you're doing is so cool, and I love that you're in a new season and you've embraced it, and you can see God working in it. I just think that's fantastic and wonderful. So.
Yeah, but it's scary.
Scary, I'm sure.
By the way, I wasn't like, it's never like, I always thought, well, I got to this age, I'm 53, which is fine. I'm fine till my age. But I'm like, nope, it's all still scary. It's all still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
You're still trying to be like, what does tomorrow look like? And how does that all happen that way? And it's weird because, again, as Dan knows, she's sitting next to her adult child, and you go, wow. They're adults.
They're
and they
adults.
make adult decisions, and they don't. I will tell you one cool story. Is when I did get the job description to my 2 older boys. It was weird to go to them for advice. It was weird for the first time. Like, what do you guys think about this? They're like, oh, Dad, this is great. We think this is totally you. And you're like, oh my gosh.
Yep.
Like, that moment of, oh, they have opinions and I respect them. And
that's so sweet. I love that. Cool. Well, and that just also what you're saying about it's just hard is that's another. I have this gift, and that's of faith, where I'm like, I got just give it up to God.
Yeah,
He's got this, and so I feel like maybe you have some of that as well, just like knowing that He's got you even when it's tough. So I get a sense of that as well.
Well, sir, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
We appreciate it very much.
Appreciate it greatly. I think my son and I are off to pizza night, so that's what's going to be happening.
Nice.
So.
I love it.
I will say, if I was the older boys, I'd be jealous because the younger one, he just gets all the
Oh, yeah.
She knows.
Oh, I know.
She has a little brother.
I do have a little brother. I get it. I hear you. Have a great one. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Bye.
For more information on Project Brickworks, visit us online at projectbrickworks.org. Subscribe to our newsletter or text BRICK to 55498 to get the latest news and updates. We love y'all. Be blessed, and we'll see you next time. Bye.